Hey guys, this is Julian from Benighted, and you're listening to Richard Metal Fan.
Hey, what's up, guys? Episode 257 of Richard Metal Fan Interviews, calling from Zoom, and I have a returning guest, round two, with Julian from the almighty Benighted. How are you doing today, man? Thanks for coming back on.
Yeah, thank you. It's my pleasure. Thank you for inviting me for this new album that we just released. It's a pleasure, man.
Yes, so we have the new album Ekbom, which came out 2 days ago. So can you talk to me about the whole writing and recording process and how the whole thing came to be and that good stuff?
Sure. Well, it's been 2 years that we work on this album now. Manu, our guitarist, of course, still writes everything. I mean, he brings up all the demo of the tracks, including guitars, bass, and drums. And then we work. I work with him to how to say that, to make the structure of each song like I want, because of course when I want to place the vocals on the song, I need to have some changes of the initial structures he gave me, and then everybody just adapt the track with his style. I mean, with the bass, the drums. Kevin, for example, he adapts a lot of things with his drumming, which makes it even more effective than the first version. And this year, to record the new album, Kevin recorded everything at his own home studio, which is called Nostromo Music Studio. Manu recorded everything at home with his computer, and only Pierre and me, we went to the Collocator studio to record the bass, my vocals, and Pierre backing vocals as well.
Awesome. And musically, did you want to continue in the same vein as Obscene Repressed, or did you want to try something new or different that Benighted hasn't done before?
I wouldn't say new. I would say a bit different, maybe, because the music has evolved a bit. I mean, the black metal influence is way more present than it was for Obscene Repressed, for example. And on this album, as we really wanted this album to be the darkest the darkest, the creepiest in the Benighted discography. We used the samples in a different way. We incorporate them into the songs to have this calm, atmospherical, and creepy moments between two very brutal parts. To keep the tracks very dynamic and made for live, of course, because the every song is done to be performed on stage at first, and we are very happy about what it is, because every song in the new album Ekbom is could be the opening track of the album. It's very effective by itself.
Right. And every song on there is really kick-ass. And I know in 2021 you released the one-off single, A Personified Evil. I thought that was good. First, I was kind of surprised it wasn't on Ekbom. What was Ekbom, to be honest?
Yeah, when we recorded it, I think it was right after the pandemic, and it was. I mean, we wanted our fans to know that we still thought a lot about them, and so we wanted to propose new stuff. Of course, it was too early for a new album because we couldn't promote Obscene Repressed in a good way because of the pandemic. So we decided to write new tracks, just release them like this on Spotify for our fans to know that we were thinking about them. And but this song actually is on the bonus CD of the special edition of the new album, because
Wow.
there is a Digibox special edition of the new album with a CD with a live album from our gig in Saint-Etienne in France. I think there are something like 16 tracks, 16 live tracks, and you can find also on this CD the three songs that we released on Spotify only before and after the pandemic, including
Nice.
a personified evil.
Right. And how would you say like this album, like there were like how like the whole chemistry was that this album compared to with Obscene Repressed?
Well, I think this one has way more atmospheres, dark atmospheres than Obscene Repressed. When Manu wrote it, he really wanted the music to go in this in more black metal vibe, with a lot of yeah, I would say, yeah, dark spirit. Because once you know the concept of the new album, of course, you know that you will enter something very dark and very creepy. I will probably talk about this later in the interview. But yeah, we said when Obscene Repressed was very savage and brutal and direct. We wanted Ekbom to have more creepy parts and make it more like yeah, like some kind of horror movies, but you know, with long parts with a creepy atmosphere.
Right. And this is also the first album where it was recorded as a four piece. So how does that sort of like affect sort of like the dynamic with Benighted?
Repeat the question, please.
All right. This is actually the first this is also the first album where this is where you recorded as a four piece. So how does that sort of like affect the dynamic with Benighted?
It didn't affect anything at all because Manu is still the main composer in Benighted. So Fabien only participated with arrangements and gave his opinion about the tracks. But Manu, I mean, since he's in the band since 2014 for Necrobreed, REP, Obscene Repressed, and this new album, he wrote almost everything. So it didn't have any impact of the writing process.
Right. And sort of like talking about like the title Ekbom, like what would you say like the overall kind of like concept and sort of like the message is behind the album?
Well, the name Ekbom, it's a Swedish name. It's a Swedish name, and it's the name of the scientist who discovered the Ekbom syndrome, which is in psychiatry. It's delusional parasitosis where people have hallucinations of insects, bugs crawling under the skin, which is kind of scary, of course, and horrible to experience. And for the concept of the album, I'm talking about a girl which is suffering with schizophrenia, and one of the main symptoms are the insects running under her skin, and she cuts herself to take them out. So Ekbom, I thought it was the best idea for a title of an album because it's at the same time very simple, catchy, and also pretty mysterious because except from Sweden, nobody knows what Ekbom is. I mean, only psychiatrists and very and people who knows a lot about this the psychological field. But it was pretty enigmatic, so I thought it was a good idea to call the album Ekbom.
Yeah, and like hearing about all that stuff is just really just creepy. Like, because I know like you also work as like a psychiatric nurse. So how does that have you ever like seen like any of this stuff like up close and like personally yourself?
Oh, I would say that, for example, it's funny because it's very, for me, it's great that I can talk about all these things that I can see at my work and use in the Benighted lyrics, of course, respecting the discretion of the patient. I don't have to tell about their real lives and anything. And but you know, it makes me think that at my job, most of the patients know the kind of music I do, and they know that I'm talking about psychiatric stuff in the lyrics, and they are very interested with it. So it's always very rich to share with them the stories behind the Benighted concept and the message behind it, which is always that the people are in huge pain when they are dealing with this kind of pathology, and that they are very vulnerable and that they need help for that.
Yeah, and still talking about Ekbom because on Nothing Left to Fear you had guest vocals from Julian, not Julian, Ollie from Archspire. So how did he end up on this song? Because I think he's just sounds fucking brutal.
He does. He really does. I mean, he's an amazing singer. I don't know how he does this kind of fast flow. I mean, he's a killer vocalist. I fucking love him. And we toured with Archspire 1 year ago in Europe. We had a month European tour, and it was the first time that we actually toured together. And from the very first day, I mean, the chemistry was here, so we had a great time with them. They are amazing people. I love the Archspire guys. And during a party, I was pretty drunk, and Oli was drunk as well. And I told him, "Man, we record a new album this year. I want you on the song, please." And he told me, "Yeah, of course, I would be honored. Let's do that." And then we were talking about this with the Benighted guys and Archspire guys, and we were like, "Yeah, but we don't have a song which could fit with Oli's vocals." And Manu said, "Okay, I will write a new one. And as you guys you play at 400 BPM, I will write a song which is 402 BPM." So it was a kind of joke between us. And really, when I received Oli's vocals, I was amazed. I mean, he did such a great job, and the song is so brutal. I mean,
Yeah.
I love it. That's one of my favorite songs in the record.
Yeah, yeah, I love his vocals. He's awesome, and of course, I've interviewed him and Toby, yeah, about a couple years ago, and
Yeah,
he's hilarious. Yes, like I feel like if you've ever seen their live show, it also could be like stand-up comedy.
yeah, exactly. And they are amazing showmen. I mean, they play very brutal music, but they are so funny at the same time. They really know how to entertain the crowd. They're really amazing showmen.
Yeah, have you ever seen like the video where they're like playing like Twister in the pit? Like it
Of
just
course,
sounds really just like
yeah.
random.
Yeah, they did it every night when we were touring in Europe last year, so I could enjoy it every night
Yeah.
for a month.
Yeah. And I know they're gonna be here in June. I'm hoping they do that. I'd jump on that shit.
No, I'm sure they will. I mean, it's such a funny and an original idea. I mean, it's fantastic.
Yeah. And I kind of want to talk about a couple like anniversaries for you because this year does also mark 20 years of Insane Cephalic production. And I thought that was a really good album. And I wanted to ask if there's like a chance we could get a celebration of that album somehow, maybe throw in some like deep cuts in the light set.
We didn't think about it. We were too busy working for Ekbom. But yeah, it would be nice at least to adapt a set list or something with some old tracks from Insane Cephalic production. And it's also the 10 years of Carnival Sublime.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, which
we,
also
we
led
have
me
to.
into that
Ah, okay.
because it's also 10 years of Carnivore Sublime. So I think I might have asked this the last time we spoke. So how do you feel like the band was in that kind of mind period at that time? Because I feel like you guys solidified with that sound for with that going into like Necrobreed, Obscene Repress, and of course with Ekbom.
Well, I still have a lot of. I mean, I feel a lot of pleasure playing this song live. And for example, for the new set list that we will start playing next week at our first tour for Ekbom, we reintroduced some songs from Carnival Sublime that we didn't play for years. I think to have a special set list and wish Carnival Sublime an happy anniversary. But yeah, I didn't thought about Insane Cephalic production. That's true. It's already 20 years old, which means I'm fucking old as well.
Hey, I was only 10 when that album came out, and I'm 30 now, so
Oh my God. Please don't tell.
I'm sorry, man. But but of course, I think one thing I want to talk about is sort of the lyrics. I think I might have asked you this the last time we spoke, but when it comes to like the lyrics and the concepts, do you have to like put yourself in a certain mind frame in order to come up with lyrics, or just the lyrics just come like naturally and organically?
No, I like to. Of course, I do it when I'm completely alone at my place, and I like to put myself in some kind of a mood I would say of a sad mood, and I try to disconnect myself from reality because of course, I deal with patients suffering with psychosis every day, so I kind of understand what they are dealing with. Of course, I can only imagine because it's unless you experience it. I mean, it's totally impossible to understand what they are really dealing with. But I try to put myself in their situation, and I let my mind, go without any filter. Like all the ideas come at the same time, they mix up, and I try to think like if I was psychotic, and I really like this exercise. Because most of the time, very very interesting things come out of this, and and that helps me to have creepy ideas as well
Yeah.
along the story I want to tell in the album, of course.
Yeah. Yeah. And do you find it like easier to like work kind of like alone versus when you like work with like Pierre, Emmanuel, and Kevin?
About the lyrics, I always work alone. I do it on my own. I mean, they actually only Pierre understand what I'm really talking about because he works in psychiatry as well, and the two other ones absolutely don't care about the lyrics. Yeah, actually, if I want to punish them, if I really want to punish them in the van, I would just say, "So now I will explain you what each song is about. So listen to me." And they were like, "Oh,
And kind of talking about your live shows, because I've only seen like live videos on YouTube, and you sound just as brutal as you do on live as you do on CD. So how different of a mind frame is it to like playing live versus then recording?
Well, it's always tricky because we never rehearse together because we all live quite far one from the other. So Ekbom was written at distance. I mean, we never played the songs of Ekbom together before recording it, and it's always a challenge for me because I always want to, to propose pretty difficult vocal parts, and of course I don't want to sing anything on an album but I couldn't actually do live. So I work a lot to be able to do all the phrasing exactly like I do on the albums, and it's a lot of work. But I really love this kind of challenge because stage is it's my favorite place. I mean, recording an album is cool, but being on stage and scream and do my vocals, it's where I really it's the part I enjoy the most. And talking about that, of course, as Nothing Left to Fear, the song with Oli from Archspire is one of the singles. We will play it live in the upcoming tours, and I have to do all the vocals. So I worked a lot for that, but now I'm able to do all the vocals by myself, including Oli's part, which were very very difficult to understand, learn, and reproduce.
Yeah, and you have like a lot of albums now out now, so this is like your 10th album. Like, how harder is it to like put like a set list together or when playing these songs live?
Well, it's always hard. It's always hard because we have a song that we want to play, the songs that we think people will want to hear, and the ones that will be the most effective on stage. So it's always tricky, and it's a lot of discussion between the four of us to adapt a set list and find something which is at the same time not too intense because you cannot listen for Benighted for 1 hour and a half. If you only have tracks, very brutal tracks of 2 minutes, like, I think at some point it can be too much for the ears. So we have to find the good compromise to keep it brutal and interesting and entertaining the whole set list.
Yeah, because there's always got to be like those diehard fans. I would like the deep cut from like the self-titled album.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. And so kind of like in the end to sort of wrap things up, what's next for Benighted? Like we have the new album out. Is there any tours that you have lined up? And is there a chance you can bring Benighted to the States? We'd love to have you.
Oh, I would love that as well. It's already 5 years that we didn't. Yeah, 5 years our last tour in the US. We have, this year we have a French tour organized by the Hellfest, the biggest festival in France. We have two weeks of shows in France and Switzerland. Then we have some shows in Portugal, Germany, until September. In September we have a Canadian tour. Then in November, we have a European tour with Biased and Coffin Feeder. And next year, we are working on the South American tour, Japan tour, and US tour as well. So it will be probably in 2025.
Awesome. I'm looking forward to that. I'm hoping you all make it over to Atlanta because we would love to have you.
Oh, yeah, me too. Me too. The last tour in US was just great, and I'm just so craving for going back there. I loved the tour, and I can't wait to be back.
Hell yeah, man. So thank you, Julian, for this conversation. It's great to be able to talk with you again. It's just any final words you want to say to the viewers that are watching this to close this out.
Well, thank you first, Richard, for interviewing me again. And I invite everybody, of course, to listen to our new album, Ekbom. If you like extreme brutal death metal with grindcore, black metal influences, and a lot of disgusting vocals, normally you should like it. So give it a try. Thank you for your
Awesome.
support, guys.
Anytime. So everybody, Julian from Benighted, see you next time.
We'll